And so the first thing is she wanted us to introduce ourselves. So I will start, and then I'm following just on the relevance on week 7. It kind of gives us instructions on what to do. And so if I forget anything, just jump in. Yeah, so my name is Madeline. I'm living in Texas right now. My husband brought us here. And this is my last semester, so I'm just trying to get done my last classes for my bachelor's, and I'm excited. And we have a baby on the way, so I've had morning sickness every day. But yeah, that's me.
What part of Texas are you in?
We came from Fort Worth, Texas. We're right out.
Cool. I'm from Dallas, so.
Oh, okay, yeah,
That's
good.
where I'm originally from. Huh.
That's cool. I heard Dallas is the LA of.
Yeah, Fort Worth. It's over there. Whatever.
Yeah, it's country. Well, they like to say it's country. It's a city, but yeah.
Right.
Okay, whoever wants to go next.
I'll go. I'm from Dallas. Like I said, me and my wife are up here in Rexburg now. We go back and forth kind of being in Rexburg and being not in Rexburg, so school's taking longer than it probably should for us, but still got a few years left.
What are you majoring in?
Public health right now.
I think technically we all are if we're in this class, right?
Yeah, this is
I
a
would
high
assume
level
so.
class.
Yeah.
But I'm health science emphasis, and then I'm debating on going to dental school, med school. Still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, you got a lot of options in Texas. I feel like every single couple in our ward, they're going to DNP.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I would love to go to Texas, but we'll see. Whatever happens. But that's the plans for me, and that's kind of what's going on. So yeah.
My name is Laren Wells.
How do you say your name? You said
Laren.
Laren.
Laryngitis. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's what I have to tell people because they're like, "What?" And that's the only way they remember. But so up in Washington right now. I'm originally from Washington. We're on the east side. Everyone's like, "Oh, Seattle," and I'm like, "No, not quite. Doesn't look like Seattle."
I always like to say that. So
yeah. My husband's going into nursing. I'm also doing public health, but I only have like 3 more classes after this semester, so I'm really excited to do that.
Are you going to knock it out in the summertime, or are you going to give yourself a break?
I'm gonna try and finish it just because I don't want to draw it out any longer.
Yeah,
because it's taken way too long. As it is, like Nathan said, he was like, "It's taking longer than it should."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my brother makes fun of me, and he says, "Shouldn't you be a doctor by now?"
I know. I'm like, I've counted the years. I'm like, I could be like in med school right now. Of course, I couldn't ever do that, but. Yeah, I had to take some time off because I was working right after we got married. So I would take like 1 class a semester. And then I just decided, I was like, no, I have to take like a full load, just get it done, or else like our lives are going to like move to the next, like having kids and stuff. And I just know that I won't ever finish. And so, yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
So good. Yeah, it seems like we're all kind of on the same the same path of we've been in school for a while, but at least we're all getting it done. So
yes, thank goodness.
Okay, well, thank you for meeting. I know online groups and having a meet are always crazy with everyone's schedule. Okay, so get to know each other. Then part 2, briefly discuss a quick review of the model. And so I believe that's the model that we read about, and then there's a picture of it. So I'm trying to figure out where it is. Okay, so the model I'm looking at is in the reading. It's the figure 5.1, or I opened up the slideshow, and so it just goes like the behavioral beliefs. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the one it's in the slideshow.
Okay.
As well.
Okay, good.
I believe that's what we're supposed to look at.
yeah, it's kind of weird, like, to summarize it, because I learned a lot about how behavior is influenced by a lot of things. And so when I'm actually looking at the model, it kind of confuses me, but it helped me, like, when they broke it down.
Right.
So the first two, I guess, behavioral beliefs. Okay, yeah, I don't really know how to, like, what to go from this. Did you guys have anything that, like, really stuck out to you yesterday about the model?
For me, it was just how everything kind of connected together. Like, there's separate parts to it, but like certain things if you don't have certain things within the model, it can kind of, be off just a little bit. So the fact that everything kind of working together as far as your beliefs and your perceived power, even, I thought was interesting.
Yes, thank you. I think I am bad at my wording, but I think you explained it, and I think that was kind of like my biggest take-home thing is how there's so much that is influenced into our behavior, and I feel like we're seeing that in our society now, kind of like the breakdown of, like, everyone's asking, like, over and over again, like, why are these kids doing these things, like, and it has so much to do with the breakdown of the internal and the external things around them. And then obviously it leads to not only our behavioral intentions, but then we're going to see a downfall in our health behavior. And obviously, all of this being public health, it's kind of like what we learned at the beginning of the semester, when you can't just like jump to conclusion of, like, why obesity is taking off.
Yeah. I think it's, like what you've said. I thought it's really interesting how, like, everything leading up in your life is, like, everything you've grown up with and everything around you is influencing you, and yet you might not think it is, but it's definitely a part of you. And, like, even just, I don't know, one part here, let me look at my notes really quick, but it was just how like, I thought it was really interesting how our attitude towards something determines how, like, if we're going to have a positive or negative experience with our behavior. Like, if we have to go and do something, and yet if we don't like it, we're obviously not going to go through it like how we probably should. And so I just thought that was really interesting, how our attitude shapes our behavior towards something.
Yeah, that was like that was like one of the main things, because I was like thinking about I always like think about young women, and just how there's like certain girls and the young women that from the young age are like, they're so excited, or just like anything, like you have that one friend that is so excited about everything you do, and then it always seems like, I feel like a lot of successful people are very happy and very optimistic, and I feel like I can be like Eeyore about a lot of things, and I realized, like, in my youth how that affected me negatively, until like I, like, for whatever reason, I felt like when I served my mission, that was kind of when I got my confidence that I needed, and it almost like put me in check. Like, some of us, we don't have that optimistic, like, personality, and I wish I did, but I don't. And or like that overexcited emotion about everything, and so we almost like have to teach ourselves, and that's why, like, I'm trying to figure out how to explain when it says, like, discuss the process of how they relate. And so we talked about how if one thing's gone, how that's going to affect. But the main thing that I took from it, and I'm trying to look for, it was one of the it was the 7th, like the control beliefs. And that's like where I really feel like is the biggest factor, is the internal and the external things that may inhibit or facilitate. Because I think back on how, like, at a young age, we had, what do we have before Young Women's? But is either Cub Scouts or it's Achievement Days.
Mhm.
And then from there we go to Young Women's or we go to Young Men's, and we were constantly surrounded and kind of reared growing up. And so we not only had support in our family, but we had support outside of our family as well. And then we always saw things like they had us involved with the homeless. They had us going to girls camp. And so we had all these things, all these not only internal but external things that were constantly giving us like more views in life, or more exposure to kind of learn what's accepted, what's not, or what we want to learn so we can be that certain way. And that's where and so that's why like I don't know why I was like really connected to that control belief. And so I don't know if that's bad that I was so connected towards that more than others, but yeah. So if there was like anything like about the process and how it relates to the stages of model, please share.
Sorry, I'm like flipping back and forth between all of my notes and stuff trying to find.
Yeah, no, that's the same thing with me. I'm like, I kind of like, you guys will say something and then it like reminds me of something I learned. So. Like, was there anything that, okay, I just forgot. Nathan, right?
Yes.
Okay, because you're the one who like really pointed out like we have to have all of those things.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like a specific.
The thing is, I don't necessarily know if there is like a specific thing, because in the seven like first breakdowns of it, the 7 first boxes,
Right.
Breakdown and the reading of like what each really does. And
yeah, and then it had certain things that I guess certain things that pertain to each one of those things and what can affect it.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just ask you guys a question, and just like to make sure that this is correct. So like behavioral beliefs and outcome evaluations, that has to do with like people are going to do it based on, are they going to get like a good outcome on it? And then we talked about like the control beliefs, and control beliefs have to do with like the internal and the external, and then perceived power, knowing that they can control the outcome. But I'm a little confused on the normative and the motive. Well, I would just take motivation, like they have to have motivation to want to change. But the normative belief, did you guys learn anything on how that affects behavior?
So normative is how family and friends will perceive the outcome of the behavior. So it's like the people looking at you and how you're. So yeah, so it's like, okay, if I'm going to go to church this weekend, like how are my parents are here, how are my parents going to like perceive that choice? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then the motivation one, I think, is just the degree of what is influencing us to carry out our behaviors. Like, is it external? Is it other people that we're trying to impress? Is that what is motivating us, or is it ourselves? Like, do we really want it? And so, yeah, I think that's kind of what those two are about.
Yeah. I feel like what you're talking about earlier, when we're growing up, those stages of life when you're more easily molded into kind of who you're going to want to become. As far as, when you get older in life, most people say they're stuck in their ways or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, at least in my observation in my own life and others, that normative specifically kind of takes a pretty big role in, I guess, youth aged, because growing up, I guess I would care a lot more about what people thought of me than I thought of me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think that played a bigger impact on kind of what I was choosing to do. and my behaviors that I chose to do, rather than, you know, my behavioral beliefs or my control beliefs at the time, just because you want to impress a girl or you want to impress a guy or you want to fit in with the right crowd, or you know, you don't want to disappoint your parents or whatever it may be. I think at different stages in life, I think that definitely can play a bigger role. And that's kind of one of the things I was saying, how they all kind of just fit together. Like, I think at certain times in our lives, the different beliefs and our perceived attitudes and behaviors towards these things will affect our behavior more than others.
Yeah.
And it kind of just depends where we are, and obviously it's different for every person too. So
yeah, no, I like the way you guys explain that, because yes, it's like I was focused more on like the control, and thinking that was like what really impacted, but it's like it started from the normative of like who I was exposed to, and like when you're younger, I like the way you said that of you cared about yourself more because of what people were going to think, rather than caring about yourself, like what's going to make you better. And then more things started coming into your life, like more of those blocks did. And that's when you learn to kind of change that behavior towards another, like knowledge of another block, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you for explaining that, because it kind of helped me like understand it a little bit more. I feel like when I'm like reading it online, and since I'm teaching myself, I almost like start teaching myself things of like a biased way of how I would perceive it.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, it's kind of that's like the one bummer part of online, but
Yeah.
So,
You don't get to hear insights as often from others.
Yeah. Okay, so part 3, applying the model. So what kind of interventions centered on the processes move people through the stages? Interventions. What kind of interventions?
Sorry, I'm getting back to that.
Yeah, no problem. Like the number 2 is about the how was the examples that were presented in your readings, and so there was things about smoking, about condom use, things like that.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember this.
So I guess if we like take one of those, well, I think yes, like if we use any intervention, the person has to know like there's going to be an outcome of why they're gonna have like that attitude towards the behavior. So I don't know if this is like going into number 2, but I feel like those go together, because if we're going to use any interventions, you think about the ones that we learned in class. And so you think about why people would want to use protection, and, you know, obviously like not having kids, and then not, sexually transmitted diseases, things like that. And so that's going to be the outcome. Norman.
I think, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I was just thinking about how I think we have to understand if they are normative beliefs, if that's like the driving force, because obviously they're going to do it if they're trying to impress somebody, like, oh, my mom and dad want me to go through this intervention, so that's what I'm doing, so I'm learning about this stuff. Or if it's just like behavioral or control. Like, I think that's another thing that goes along with the interventions, is understanding the starting point, what they are, like what is controlling their actions. Does that make sense? Or their motivation, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, no, that's actually like what I was just thinking, because I was like, it's not going to just start with someone, because if they don't care, if they don't have any support, why are they going to change? So I feel like it does have to start somewhere at a stronger normative belief. But then if that breaks down and like they don't have any friends or family, like I just like think about like homeless, and obviously there's a huge, you know, sexually transmitted like not the revolution, but, you know, going on in their in their community. And it's their normative beliefs are broken down. Like they don't have anyone that cares about them, and they don't really care about anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so why would they change that behavior? Is that correct? Am I like understanding?
No, I totally agree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think another thing is like their attitude toward like if they want to change or not. Because I think there's no point, like not no point, because obviously you still want to educate people about something that could be detrimental to their health. But I think if you understand their attitude to like, oh, like, why do we have to learn this? Like, I'm just going to do what I want kind of thing. It's important to explain to them, okay, well, you might not have a very good, like, positive outlook on why we need to have this intervention, but also explain to them, like, the health disparities or whatever that come along with that behavior that they practice.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, and like the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking about how the disparities, like, it has so much to do with what's going around them in their environment and what is exposed to them, because if these certain blocks get broken down, then it's not like it's mean to say it's a waste of time, but I don't know if it's this class or like a class report that I took. You have to know when to just kind of say like, okay, this isn't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if there's no support, if there's no I guess it was like last week, if the community's not going to support the change, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so like we can do so much, we can give them education, we can show them like the outcome of this or that, but is that really going to sink down, or we're going to see a behavioral change?
Right.
Okay, so I feel like, yes, we went on to that. And then, okay, so part 4, that's discuss Grace scenario from the foundation. And so I believe she's the one that came from a family that didn't really work out. And I think I pulled it up.
Oh no, wasn't this the one that she like put poison in like the coffee or something like that?
Grace?
I think so.
Okay, you're right. That's why it said the permissible, or I don't know, whatever it's called. Okay, so yes, so to discuss Grace from the foundation earlier in the lesson, ask each member to share their thoughts on each option, and where does each option fit into morally forbidden or to morally permissible.
I'm gonna open it up just so I can look at the
weird.
words. I know.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is just. I did like being able to, like, when I figured out how to hear the sound and listen to the scientists explain it.
Yeah. So Grace thinks the powder is sugar. It is sugar. Her friend is fine. Is that morally permissible or morally forbidden?
Yeah.
Because she is thinking it's powder. I mean, she thinks it's sugar, and it is sugar. So.
Can you guys hear me?
Is that you, Sydney?
Yeah, we can hear you now,
Yeah.
Sydney.
Okay, sorry, I don't have great service. Are you guys just going over the assignments from yesterday?
No, so she gave us like
What was
a
that?
thing to follow. So we're in like the Relevant 7, and so now we're at part 4. We're kind of close to being done, and so part 4 is we are talking about Grace from yesterday. Yes, so yes, so Lauren's just going over. She's just kind of reading it out loud, and then we're discussing it. So we're on number 2, right?
Yeah. So Grace thinks the powder is sugar. It is toxic. Her friend dies.
Yeah, that's permissible, right? Because she didn't know.
Mhm. I would say it's permissible because she thought it was sugar, but it wasn't. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
An accident.
I agree. That's it, I think.
And then Grace thinks the powder is toxic. It is sugar. Her friend is fine. I think that's morally forbidden because like she thinks it's toxic, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, it was like a weird. This is just a weird scenario. It's like,
Yeah. When would this ever?
I know.
like, okay, well, obviously she has some issues. She wanted to give her friend some toxic stuff. So
And then the last one was Grace thinks the powder is toxic. It is toxic. Wait, did I just read that one? No, I just read the other one. Sorry. And then her friend dies.
That's what I was doing last night. Like, that's the same question. Did I just read that?
I know. Yeah, and I would say that's morally forbidden because I think the way the line that's drawn is whether she thinks it is toxic or she thinks it isn't toxic. I think that's where I draw the line. It's
Yeah.
not whether or not her friend dies or is fine, but it's whether it's her intention. That's
Yeah.
where I draw the line.
yeah, I found it weird. Like, but I also thought it was like super interesting when she shared the story about the little boys of if one on accident breaks 4 cups versus the one who broke 1 cup on one, and they're saying the little kids all answered that the kid who broke 4 cups, like, he was in a lot more trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Just because in their minds they think it's more, because it's more,
Mm-hmm.
it's worse. But
Yeah.
even they don't. I guess because they're so young, they don't comprehend the fact that between an accident and something that was intended,
Yeah.
on purpose, and I think that's part of growing up and figuring out that line of intention of
Yes.
Yeah, so the
what
only one that
people's
I can
intentions are.
think of, like, after you explain that, Nathan, is the one where she didn't know it was toxic and her friend died, like, because she thought it was sugar or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one that I can think of, like, a little kid would think that was bad, I guess, when she died.
Yeah.
But everything else I felt like was pretty obvious, like, at our age and our ethics. Okay, so yeah, now we're at application assignment prep. So read the instructions for the application assignment together. I didn't understand why we threw this together because then it said do it individually.
Yeah. Maybe to talk about it and then have a better foundation to do it on our own. I don't know.
Oh, true. That's always nice. Okay. So okay, so this is an individual assignment. So return to the health interviews you conducted in lesson 4 application. Select one of the interviews to use for this assignment. Identify which interview questions pertain to the attitude, which are subjective norms, which are pertain to perceived behavioral control. Okay. Does anyone want to do theirs? If not, I can pull up mine. Doesn't matter.
Let me see.
You can do the. Identifying the conflict and interview questions.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I have one of mine up. Let me read the instructions. Let me see. So I think the attitude ones are more of the like when they ask like how confident are you in being able to exercise regularly in the next 4 weeks, or do you think you have the ability? I think that's where their attitude comes in, because that's kind of like, oh, like, do I really want to? Like, if you have the ability and if you want to, or if you have the ability and you really don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like how confident they are to overcome obstacles. If they really don't really care about it, then they're not going to try as much, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and it's just like it goes back to their their normative, like who around them really cares, and they care themselves about what people think, and so I guess that's where the intention could be wrong as well. Like if somebody cared more about their friends, about them thinking like they're skinny rather than them learning like they need to be more healthy.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
Sister Copen here. Sorry, my video's not working. Just want to let you know I'm in the Hangout now. So sorry I'm late.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. We're just finishing up. We're going over the application assignment. And so we're just using. Well, yeah, we're just discussing what Laren noticed and some of the things in hers. But do you have like any recommendation for us to like do this a little bit more efficiently, I guess, on the application as a group?
I would just say mostly if you guys have questions about the assignment, you talk about those. If you understand the assignment pretty well, because you each have to do your own assignment anyway.
Yeah.
So I would say just mostly focus on things that you have questions about. You don't need to do every single step of the assignment, just like the parts that, if any of you have questions, just bring those up to the group. And otherwise, I don't think you need to go step by step on each.
Okay, that's good. So we can kind of just look at it right now individually, and then if there's any questions as a group.
Yeah. Or if you have any questions about the model itself, you can feel free to ask me.
So my group helped me a lot, like understand a little bit more rather than myself just teaching me. But I still feel like when it comes down to it, it's being able to explain someone how they all connect, I guess. Because like I see how they all kind of influence someone differently. And then if one of them is taken away, it kind of breaks down the behavior in the long term. And like that's what we're talking about. It's kind of the breakdown of like community. But I don't really know how to personally explain to somebody, I feel like, how it all connects.
Like the different constructs connect to each other, or?
Yeah, because when I was like doing the readings, like to me it looked like they all kind of have their own definition and their own influence. So if I'm understanding it like correctly, I guess it's like they connect in the long run, but they all have their own influence, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You can like focus on one like particular construct in an intervention. Actually, in the real world, a lot of interventions are a compilation of different theories and models. So unless it's like very research based, like we talked about, but a lot of people just get out in the field and they throw a lot of different constructs together from different theories and models. So you can see that a lot. But yeah, sometimes people just focus on particular constructs to affect the end goal. hopefully. So no intervention really, well, not no, but a lot of interventions don't have the time or the resources to affect each and every construct in a theory or model.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, because that's what I was like. I was kind of confusing myself. I was like, I see how they all influence, but I was like, why would I use all 7 if I knew a couple of them would be more influential in that exact issue?
Right. So like on question 5, you'll probably, where it talks about developing specific interventions, you'll probably suggest like 3 different interventions, one for attitude, one for subjective norms, and one for perceived behavioral control, instead of like one general overall intervention.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I was a little bit more focused on too many then, but yes, that makes sense. Like Nathan and Laren, they explained that they broke it down for me. So, but yes, now this. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that helped me. I hope that helped you guys a little bit more. Because then now we know, like in the application, we can kind of run with 1 to 3 and be able to summarize a little bit better about the people we interviewed. And then I think that just makes us a little bit more useful of breaking down issues that are going on, like in our communities or whatever, like we're going to be doing with work. So, does anyone have any questions on the application homework?
I don't think I do.
That was really like kind of my deep down question was I kind of understood it, but not, I wouldn't say 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so okay, well, I guess we're at step 4, so now we're just going to be talking about next week. We're pretty much done with the meeting. Next week, which one of you guys want to be the group leader?
I can do it. Like,
Just like new. Sorry, Pop.
Was that Sydney? Did she say she could do it?
Yeah, I don't.
yeah,
Okay.
I did. I can do it next week.
Okay. Sydney. Sweet. So then, yes.
So Madeline, you're gonna submit the.
Yeah, I'll submit it.
Link.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks for letting me join. If you guys have any questions over the next 4 weeks, feel free to email me or put on your discussion board. I'm going to try to join some other groups, so I don't know if I'll be able to join your group again, but I'll let you know if I can. Okay?
Okay, great. Thank you for being able to explain that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thanks for letting me join.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.